some of the adaptations they have to help them thrive out in the wild. And we have a beautiful example to start with over here on the right with our amazing cheetah. Now these cheetahs are going to be one of our main predators out here on the savannah, and they are all about speed. They're going to be using those spots to try to blend in with the tall grasses out here, using it to sneak up on any unsuspecting animals, and then racing after them with a burst of speed up to about 70 miles an hour. Now, unfortunately, though, the cheetah doesn't actually have the best stamina, and they do actually get tired pretty quickly. So whenever they do go out for a hunt, they're probably going to need about half an hour to recharge their energy before they're going to be able to go racing again. Now, just like that cheetah, though, pretty much all of the other animals living out on the savannah are all going to have their own special tricks for survival, because the savannah is a very big and very diverse place, which is going to require a lot of special techniques for living out here. But we'll be able to talk about quite a few of those as we head around today. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about a very different type of animal over here on the right-hand side. With our big group of greater flamingos. Now these flamingos may not be quite as pink as you're used to, but they're actually supposed to be that color. That lighter color is going to help a lot of African flamingos stay cool on the hot days that they would face out there. Now these flamingos are going to spend most of their day wading through that shallow, muddy water, using those shovel-like beaks of theirs to sift through it as they go looking for their favorite foods. You might be able to spot a couple of our younger ones out there as well, who still have that gray color, but they are quickly growing to almost their full adult size. As we start making our way through this gate, we're actually going to be passing out towards one of our larger savanna habitats. And the savannah is one of our main areas that we are focusing our conservation efforts around the world. Here at the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, we have 8 different hubs, which are areas that we are focusing our conservation to make sure that the key plants and animals in those areas are able to thrive alongside the humans that also live there. And of course, the African savanna is one of those 8 hubs. And one of the animals we are very focused on helping out there are our incredible rhinos. So over here on the right-hand side, we're going to be passing our Rhino Rescue Center, where we have a lovely display of boulders. No, I'm kidding. We do actually have 10 of our southern white rhinos who do live here. But at the moment, we're actually doing a little bit of cleanup work in this area, so they're actually out in the back at the moment. But we will get a chance to see some of those rhinos later in the tour. Now, these southern white rhinos, though, are a really important part of our programs here. Not only because they're an amazing animal in their own right, but they're also going to be our best help for their close cousin, the northern white rhino. Can everybody hold up a peace sign for me really quick? That peace sign is the number of northern white rhinos left in the world.
Wow.
There are only 2 left, and they're both female.
Wow.
But here at the safari park, we have what we call our frozen zoo, which is a collection of genetic material from hundreds of different animals, including the northern white rhino. And we're going to use some of our southern white rhinos as surrogate parents as we breed some new northern white rhinos. We are leading the charge on this and are working very hard to help make sure that these rhinos do not disappear. But unfortunately, all rhinos are threatened and endangered species currently, so we're doing everything we can with our breeding programs here to have as many baby rhinos as possible to help out. And you might have heard that last month we had a new baby rhino born here at the park. I get the chance to spot it later in the tour. We just got the name for that baby, which is Kamaria, which means beautiful like the moonlight in Swahili. A very fitting name for an adorable baby girl, in my opinion. And Mom's been doing a very good job keeping that baby protected, but unfortunately a little far away from our tram path most of the time. But I'm going to be keeping my eyes open for it, and if I do spot her, I will definitely let you know. But before we get to those rhinos, over here on the left, we're coming up on that big, large savanna habitat. This is part of our South African habitat, and as you can see out here, we are dealing with some very big open spaces. and very few places for animals to hide. So most of the animals that live on the savanna are going to be staying in very big groups so that they have better safety in numbers and more sets of eyes to watch for any predators that might be out there. But before we get a good look at some of those bigger animals out there, we're first going to drop into our bird marsh, which is going to be home to quite a few of our other interesting bird species out here. And it looks like we have quite the mix at the moment. Down here at the front, we have some of our East African crown cranes, those tall yellow birds with that yellow tuft of feathers on top of their head that kind of look like a crown. Quite a few of our yellow-billed stork, our sacred ibis, those small black and white birds with a long curved beak, our spoonbill, who is sitting there right there, and up above the lagoon, also quite a few of our vultures and a pelican. Now, most of these birds are going to be spending their time around the water, using those long legs and beaks to reach down into it, grabbing fish and other aquatic creatures for food. But those vultures, on the other hand, they're going to be the cleanup crews of the savanna, picking up the messes that predators leave behind, and are also going to be the best way to keep disease from spreading out on the savanna as well. They're actually a really important part of this ecosystem. Now, as we pull forward here, though, we're going to get some great looks at our antelope. Let's start with this one over here on the right, a group of Sommering gazelle. And as you can see, that light tan is really going to help them blend in.
Giselle.
To be
That's Giselle.
areas that they live in. Well, we are this close to them too. See if you can get a good look at the black and white stripes that are running down their face. Those are going to be a great example of an adaptation called a threat mask. Threat masks are going to help make our animals seem a little bit more intimidating, even for a smaller antelope like this one. And they're also going to help make their horns look bigger because they line up with those stripes, making them seem like more of a threat to anything that might try to mess with them. Now, a lot of our other animals are going to have similar tricks to help them out, including our smallest group of antelope over there on the left-hand side, who are mixed in with our largest antelope. So the small ones are a bunch of our South African springbok, and the big ones are our Patterson's eland, who get up to about 2,000 pounds at their full size. Being that big means pretty much as no other animals are going to mess with them, except for maybe the lions. Now those little springbok, on the other hand, though, they're not going to be very intimidating, but they are amazing jumpers. So what they do is actually called pronking, where they will arch their back and jump straight up in the air, kind of like a cat when it's scared. And they can get up to about 10 feet in the air when they do that, in order to confuse anything that might be chasing them, or just to show off, because sometimes those little springboks just have to show off. And hopefully we'll get plenty more chances to do some of those eland, and hopefully a little closer later on the tour. But we've got a lot of other animals to see out here as well, including a lot of other different types of antelope. Now, a fun fact for all of these antelope is that the males are always going to have horns, because they're going to be using them to compete against each other for a chance to hang out with most of the females we have out here. But when the females have big horns, like these